Welcome into Steelers Talk. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. Happy St. Patrick's Day to all of the people who celebrate in Steelers Nation. We got a bunch of Steelers rumors to discuss today. First, a potential George Pickens trade. I'm going to let you know whether or not trading GP makes sense for the black and gold and what price tag I would be comfortable dealing GP elsewhere for. Then we'll talk about Joe Milton, a potential quarterback target for the Pittsburgh Steelers if they miss out on Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson in the coming days. What is he worth? And what is the asking price? I'll let you guys know what I think here in just a second. Then also, Mike Florio has linked an NFL veteran quarterback to the Pittsburgh Steelers if they miss out on Rodgers and Russell Wilson. I'll let you guys know why I don't love the idea for that. And then we'll finish up today's show with an update with the top 30 draft visit tracker. All the players that the Steelers have reportedly brought in so far on top 30 draft visits. Before we get into today's show, make sure you guys give me a follow on X at Jack_Sperry. Whenever the Aaron Rodgers news comes down, I'll be giving my instant reaction on X. Also, I put out a bunch of NFL draft content up on my Twitter, so you guys can check me out at Jack_Sperry if you want to support me on social media. And then you guys can also give us a follow here on IG at Steelers CS. We put out our short form content on IG, so if you want a daily blast of Steelers news and rumors, you guys can check us out at Steelers CS. So let's talk a little bit here about George Pickens. And some are speculating that the Steelers could potentially trade GP before the NFL draft and then draft his replacement potentially in the first round of the 2025 NFL draft. Mark Kaboly went on Pittsburgh radio. He's the Steelers correspondent for the Pat McAfee show. And he said if George Pickens does request a trade this offseason, that the Pittsburgh Steelers will oblige that request and send him elsewhere. Now, some people have taken that kind of quote from Kaboly and have kind of run with it, saying, oh, they're definitely going to be trading George Pickens. And, that has certainly stoked the fires of a potential GP trade. But just because Kaboly said the Steelers would trade Pickens if he requested a trade, that doesn't mean George is planning on requesting a trade or that the Steelers are actively shopping him. My take on the situation here, guys, is that the Steelers should not entertain trading George Pickens unless they get at least a day 2 draft pick in exchange for the talented wide receiver. But I don't think that he's going to net that kind of pick, all right? And I've been talking about this on the show over the last couple of weeks since the DK Metcalf trade. I do not think that George Pickens would net a round 2 or a round 3 pick on the open trade market. And the reason for that, guys, is because of all the stuff that comes along with George Pickens. Pickens is one of the most talented wide receivers in all of football. And if he was a perfect professional, he might even be worth a first-round draft pick, all right? But because of the effort issues, because of the punctuality issues, because of the fighting issues that we have seen with George Pickens in his career to this point, plus the fact that his new team trading a high draft pick for him would have to also give him a new contract extension to make it worth their while. I'm not sure if his trade capital, his trade value is actually going to be all that high, maybe round 4 pick, round 5 pick. And personally, guys, George Pickens is just too big of a talent, in my opinion, to let go for a round 4 or a round 5 draft pick. And honestly, guys, I want to see what he can do with DK Metcalf on the other side of him. The Twin Towers, the crash out bros, whatever you guys want to call them. I really want to see these two guys be on the football field together because they're both massively talented. They're both great deep threats. Both Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson, if that ends up being the quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers this year, they're both really good downfield throwers. And honestly, when you think about it, George Pickens is the perfect number 2 wide receiver, all right? When you think about it, you got DK Metcalf, who's your number 1. He's a consummate professional. He's going to be somebody that's going to be a little bit more reliable on a week-to-week basis for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then when it comes to George Pickens, he's massively talented, but maybe he's a little bit more volatile, all right? So you're not depending on George Pickens as much as this team has been depending on him over the last several seasons, and you still get the benefit from his massive talent. So as a wide receiver too, Pickens is extremely valuable to me, and for a team like the Pittsburgh Steelers that's trying to compete for Super Bowls right now, I think Pickens is an extremely valuable asset to hang on to for at least one more season. And then if he can turn around some of the punctuality issues, some of the, he fights less, he does all, he picks up the effort on a down-to-down basis, I'd be perfectly fine giving him another big contract or his first big contract, I should say, to stick around here with the Pittsburgh Steelers and make DK Metcalf and George Pickens the consummate wide receiver 1 and 2 duo here in Pittsburgh for the long haul. The Cincinnati Bengals just paid Jamar Chase and T. Higgins massive money. The Steelers can do the same with DK Metcalf and George Pickens if Pickens turns it around next year. So true or false? Let me know down there in the comment section. DK and GP is a top 5 wide receiver duo in the league right now. Type T if you think that statement is true, or type F if you think that statement is false. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. In just a second here, I'm going to be telling you guys about our sponsor today at Turtle Beach Headsets. And when I'm talking about Turtle Beach here, go down there in the comment section, find that pinned comment at the top of the comment section, and let me know if this statement is true or false. And with that, let's have a word from our sponsor today at Turtle Beach Headsets. You guys might have noticed that we're not in our normal studio setup today. We have our special new Turtle Beach studio here at Chat Sports, where we got the headset on. We've got it's wireless. It's all that good stuff. And, you know, I wear a Turtle Beach headset when I'm at home and I'm gaming. We have multiple online leagues, a Madden league and a college football league, both are at my place here in my apartment here in Dallas, Texas. And I get to beat Coop on a weekly basis. He's Texas. I'm Notre Dame in our college football dynasty. So that's always great to beat up on the Longhorns. But also, you know, I love using the headset because of how comfortable the earmuffs are, and then also how quality the speakers are. So if you're playing COD, if you're playing Madden, if whatever you're playing, you get to hear every single footstep. You get to hear the spiral as it travels through the air when you're playing Madden or college football, guys. It's absolutely fantastic. I cannot recommend this company enough. So head on over to turtlebeach.com and use code CHAT for 10% off your entire order. That's 10% off your order at turtlebeach.com with promo code CHAT. After your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you here at Steelers Talk by Chat Sports. Get the ultimate immersive gaming experience with Turtle Beach today. Again, that's turtlebeach.com and use code CHAT for 10% off your entire order. Big thank you to Turtle Beach Headsets for sponsoring today's edition of Steelers Talk. So Tom Grassi, who is a YouTube personality, but he does have some sources inside the NFL space here. He says that his sources are telling him that the Patriots are looking to get a 3rd-round pick for former Tennessee Volunteer quarterback Joe Milton. All right, and I'm just going to tell you guys this right now. If you think that Joe Milton, who was a late-round draft pick last year, played in the preseason, then played that one game to finish out the season against the backups of the opposing team, is going to get a 3rd-round pick, I mean, that just ain't happening, ladies and gentlemen. Joe Milton, I think, has some nice potential. I think that there are certain things that, are a benefit to a team that ends up trading for him. But a 3rd-round pick is something that you spend on an established presence. I mean, that's what Geno Smith ended up going for the Las Vegas Raiders. The idea that the New England Patriots are going to get a 3rd-round pick for Joe Milton, who has one NFL career start, and he played against backups. I mean, are you absolutely out of your mind, New England? Now, obviously, just because that's what New England is asking for, that doesn't mean that's what they're going to get, right? The Seattle Seahawks were asking for a 1st and a 3rd-round pick for DK Metcalf. They ended up trading him to the Pittsburgh Steelers for just a second. You guys can take a look at Milton's Week 18 stats versus the Buffalo Bills. Of course, they played their backups. He did show some good accuracy, some good mental processing stuff, some good playmaking aspects. Of course, he's got that big arm, and he's a very athletic guy. He was 22 of 29 for 241 total yards passing, 16 yards rushing on 10 carries with 2 total touchdowns. So a pretty good performance from Joe Milton. Plus, he played pretty darn well in the preseason. So Milton does have some potential, but at this point, he is getting older. I believe he's 26 years old, so it would be pretty much the same as drafting, say, Tyler Shuck out of Louisville this year. And he's actually the same age, I believe, as Justin Fields at this point. So he does have some potential, but he's running out of time to really show his potential. Plus, he had significant accuracy and mental processing issues coming out of Tennessee. There's a reason why he was taken in the later rounds of the NFL draft last year instead of the earlier rounds. But hey, man, if Pittsburgh misses out on both Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson, I wouldn't mind trading for Joe Milton, the pair with Mason Rudolph, and then maybe draft another rookie. Get multiple shots at the dartboard here no pun intended with Jackson Dart in this class, but you got Joe Milton in there who is big. He's got a massive arm. He is athletic. He can be a playmaker. He showed some improvement both with his accuracy, his footwork, and then also his mental processing in New England last year. So if you do miss out on Rodgers and you do miss out on Russ, honestly, I think I would consider sending a 5th, 6th, or 7th round draft pick for Joe Milton this year. Now, another potential fallback plan in case the Steelers miss out on Rodgers and Russ, according to Mike Florio, is veteran quarterback and former Super Bowl champion and MVP Joe Flacco. This is what Mike Florio had to say about Flacco potentially coming to the Steel City. Eventually, he'll get an offer, maybe more than one. And if the Steelers are looking to go cheaper than Rodgers at the position, Flacco could be their best move. Now, guys, I know there's some people that like Flacco. Obviously, he's a recent comeback player of the year award winner with the Cleveland Browns. He played a little bit last year for Indianapolis. Ended up getting the starting job over Anthony Richardson after he was doo-doo garbage baby to start the season last year. Then he was so bad, he lost the job back to, he gave the job back to Anthony Richardson. So I really don't see it. Joe Flacco is somebody that throws a lot of interceptions, all right? I think his interception percentage the last several seasons is somewhere around 5% of his throws, which is just absolutely astronomical. He led the league in interception percentage when he won comeback player of the year with the Browns. So even in that year where he was having some success, he was throwing a lot of interceptions. And just as we talked about Jameis Winston not necessarily being a fit for Mike Tomlin, because Tomlin does not like his quarterbacks to throw interceptions, the same thing applies to Joe Flacco. So honestly, if you miss out on Rodgers, if you miss out on Russell Wilson, I'm not even sure if Winston and Flacco are guys that Tomlin would be interested in. And honestly, I think Mason Rudolph would be better. Now, Rudolph throws his share of interceptions as well, but I do think Tomlin trusts him to some degree, especially because he played so well at the end of the 2023 regular season, the last time we saw him in a Steelers uniform. In my opinion, guys, if you don't get Aaron Rodgers and you don't get Russell Wilson, my move would be to try and trade for Joe Milton and then draft a rookie to get a couple more throws at the dartboard here. But let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. If Pittsburgh whiffs at quarterback and they do not get Aaron Rodgers and they do not get Russell Wilson, which quarterback would you rather add? Would you rather add the kind of higher upside Joe Milton type JM and have to give up a draft pick for him? Or would you just sign Joe Flacco, the veteran in free agency, to compete with Mason Rudolph type JF or Joe Flacco? And then if there's somebody else, some other veteran or some other player you would want to trade for, type who that is down there in the comment section for who the Steelers should address the quarterback position with. So before I go here, an updated top 30 draft visit tracker for you guys. The Steelers have been reported to have already met with 10 of their top 30 draft visits. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up, guys, and why it matters is because Pittsburgh usually drafts players, especially early on in the draft, where they meet with them multiple times. They usually have a formal combine meeting, and then they send them, then they attend their pro day, and then also they have them come in for a top 30 visits. So at this point, the 10 players that have come in, I've been hearing a lot of kind of rumors about Jackson Dart, but the one quarterback they have brought in so far has been Tyler Shuck out of Louisville. So keep your eye on Tyler Shuck. They've also brought in Dylan Sampson, DJ Giddens out of Kansas State, Bashal Tutin out of Virginia Tech. Those are the 3 running backs that have come in. Then they've also met with 3 wide receivers here, Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel, the 2 guys out of Iowa State, Savion Williams, the big receiver, the yak threat out of TCU. The one offensive lineman they have met with is Wyatt Milam, who is a local visit technically. And then you got J.J. Peegs and then Yaha Black out of Iowa, 2 big-bodied nose tackle prospects that are going to go in the mid to late rounds of the NFL draft this year. Then you take a look at the combine visits plus top 30 guys. So the guys that both got combine visits plus a top 30 visit so far for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And remember, like the Steelers stacking these meetings up matters for these players in terms of their chances of being drafted by the Steelers. The only one that had a formal combine meeting plus a top 30 visit so far is running back out of Kansas State, DJ Giddens. And then Dylan Sampson, the running back, Savion Williams, the wide receiver, and then J.J. Peegs out of Ole Miss, all had informal meetings with the Steelers and have gotten a top 30 visit. So right now it's certainly looking like the Pittsburgh Steelers are showing significant interest in DJ Giddens out of Kansas State. And I really like Giddens' profile here, guys. I think that he would be an excellent fit in Arthur Smith's wide zone system. And, for a taller running back, he's got some wiggle. I like his long speed as well. We'll take a look at his relative athletic score here in just a second. Ran an excellent 40 time in the 4.4s. He's got excellent vision and patience as well, which is something I really look for, especially in a back that's going to be playing in an outside zone system. His one cut ability is really good for his size and specifically his height. You don't really see higher cut running backs move the way that he does in open space. That one cut ability, he makes guys miss consistently, also brings some good contact balance, and he's got a little bit of power as well. Now, the cons are he can play a little bit tall for being a higher cut running back. You want to get your pads down. Sometimes he doesn't do that at the best level, and then the pass pro does need work. I do think he has the frame to be a really good pass protector, but as we know, Jaylen Warren is one of the best pass protecting backs in all of football, and of course, Giddens would be paired with him on day one. I have a round 3 grade on him, and right now you take a look at that relative athletic score of 4.43, 40-yard dash. He also had elite explosive numbers as well. Good weight, maybe not great weight, but especially for his height, but 212 pounds is more than good enough. He finished with a composite score of 9.78, which is absolutely phenomenal. I currently have Giddens ranked as my number 9 overall running back in this loaded running back class, and I would take him in round 3 if I were the Pittsburgh Steelers, if he were there. I also put out my top 15 running back rankings on our draft channel here at Chat Sports, guys. So if you want to check out that video to see my top 15 running back prospects that you should be keeping your eye on as Pittsburgh Steelers fans, go ahead and check that video out if you haven't already. I'll put the link to that in the comments and description of today's show. So now you be the GM for me down there in the comment section. Which round should the Pittsburgh Steelers draft a running back in? Should they go round 1? Should they go round 3? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. And producer Coop is letting me know right now that we have just made a signing. Breaking news here on Pittsburgh Steelers Talk, which is Juan Thornhill, the safety formerly with the Cleveland Browns, signing a 1-year deal to be a third safety for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You can take a look at the last 4 years of his production with the Browns, and he played 11 games over the last 2 seasons, 1 tackle for loss, no interceptions, and 3 PBUs. Honestly, guys, Juan Thornhill has not been a very good player on film over the last several seasons. I've watched a lot of Cleveland Browns film because obviously this team plays the Browns defense quite a bit, and honestly, I don't think he has played particularly well. And you guys can take a look at the safety depth chart. Of course, you got Minkah, you've got DeShon, Elliott. They needed a third safety, but honestly, guys, I was hoping for maybe a Marcus Epps, who was formerly with the Las Vegas Raiders, who worked with the new secondary coach, Jared Alexander. He would have been a really good third safety piece. I would have really liked Isaiah Simmons as well as somebody that would have been a very versatile chess piece in this defense. Honestly, my initial reaction is I don't love the signing of Juan Thornhill here, guys, but that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes in the National Football League here. So make sure you click that subscribe button right now. We might even put out a video a little bit later because I literally just learned that the Steelers just signed Juan Thornhill, so I might watch a little bit of film later today and get you guys a more extensive Juan Thornhill video here coming up. So make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Really do appreciate all of your guys' support. Until next time, guys, here we go, Steelers.